Welcome to the Octagon. I'm your host, Austin Sullivan. Tonight, we have two contestants that will enter the Octagon to debate a hot sports topic. The contestants will have to rely on their wit, quick thinking, and above all, their sports knowledge. Let's introduce our contestants this evening. We have Daniel from Iowa, and we have Chris from Oregon. This will be a 3-round contest with each round being 2 minutes long. Welcome to the Octagon, and let the debates begin. Which NFL team had the best draft is what y'all will be debating this evening. Chris, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Daniel, are you ready?
Yep.
By random selection, Chris, you will start the debate. You have 60 seconds starting at the bell.
All right, so when comparing the two teams, I looked up the team statistics, and passing, New England was 4th in the league. The Niners were 32nd, or other words, last. In rushing, it was pretty close. New England was 7th, and the Niners were 4th. Receiving, the Niners were dead last at 32. The Patriots were 5. Pass defense, 12 for the Patriots, 14 for the Niners. And in run defense, the Niners were again dead last in another category, 32. And New England was 3rd. So New England picked up Brandon Cooks, Coney Ely, they got Derek Rivers in the draft, Garcia in the draft, Allen and Derby, both tight ends from trades. And then they also drafted a defensive end, Wise. They also picked up McDermott, who's an offensive tackle. And so they didn't really address their defense necessarily, but I'll get in that next round.
10 seconds.
The Niners picked up a defensive end, linebacker, corner, QB, running back, tight end, wide receiver, defensive line, linebacker, and a safety. They also picked up a 3rd, 4th, and a next year 3rd round from the Bears, thanks to the Trubisky trade. And next round, I'll get into more.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Daniel, your time starts now. Go.
Okay, so I don't think anybody could really argue that the 49ers had a lot of draft needs. Outside of their first 2-round picks, I don't really know that they picked anybody that's going to develop into an instant impact player. I mean, for Christ's sake, they drafted C.J. Beathard in the 3rd round. I'm from Iowa. That was my state's university quarterback. The guy shits the bed more than a toddler. To take him in the 3rd round was a huge stretch, and I think that started kind of the slide from Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster. Yeah, they got the compensatory picks this year and for next, and that's great, but none of those guys are proven commodities. I mean, as far as the Patriots really having any draft needs they needed to fill on defense, I think when you take Coney Ely, who would have translated this year just by talent to a 2nd or 3rd round pick, so they got him and a 3rd round pick for a 2nd round pick. And then on that 3rd round pick, they draft Rivers. He's going to be an immediate impact on special teams. He was well coached by a guy that had a lot of NFL experience, super athletic, and a lot of scouts had him graded as a low 1st round, high 2nd round. So the fact that the Patriots got him in the 3rd, I think, is a pretty good steal. That addresses a lot of need on the defensive line. And then later on in the draft, they also picked up Wise out of Arkansas, which will be another contributor and role player, probably start off on some special team stuff and then do some rotations.
All right, Daniel, your minute's up, bro. Yeah,
damn it.
You went a little beyond the minute. It's all good. Okay, solid first round. We going to just go right into the next round. Chris, why don't you get started at the bell?
All right, break down the Patriots picks real quick. So they already had a defensive end in Rob Ninkovich, and they also just got Coney Ely, and they decided to take 2 more defensive ends when their biggest need was pass defense. So they didn't take any linebackers, which they lost, and then they didn't take any corners or safeties, which is a little bit concerning, even though they did just get Gilmore. But still, they didn't really address that. They chose to go defensive end, and they also went with the O-line. And the McDermott, that pick was really suspect. He's the offensive tackle from UCLA, and he actually had a pretty bad season this last year. And in one game against an NFL-level player, if you will, in Myles Garrett, he let up 11 total hits on his QB with either combined sacks or tackles. And then I wanted to rebuttal that C.J. Beathard real quick. The season before last, he put up big numbers. And then this last season, he may have struggled a little bit, but that was because he lost a lot of his targets. And he also had the highest accuracy when you put in thrown away passes and and wide receiver drops as well, which kind of shows that it wasn't necessarily his fault. He got a lot of pressure, so he just made smart decisions with the ball.
All right. Thank you, Chris. All right, Daniel, you're up, man. 1 minute.
So all I was going to say about they didn't have any secondary issues to address. I mean, when you've got McCourty as a safety, they knew Malcolm Butler was coming back. These guys make millions of dollars to know things that us sitting on the couches don't. When you've got Gilmore and Butler in a backfield, McCourty as a safety, Ninkovich can float between a linebacker and a defensive end. They run him in a lot of sub packages as a linebacker. I think that the addressing the defensive end position was something good, especially for positional value, where they got these guys. I mean, you make the argument for known commodities, but when we go down the list, Brandon Cooks was better than any wide receiver taken in the first round. Yeah, you can put that down for data. Gillisley, was he better than the 19th available running back? Because they got him for 163rd round or 163rd pick. I would say, yeah, he's better than the 19th available running back. Yeah, you can just cancel my round there.
Thanks, Daniel. All right, we're going to the third and final round. Here's your closing arguments. Okay, fellas, let's have a good solid round. Daniel, why don't you go ahead and start at the buzzer, okay?
All right. So to sum everything up, I think the 49ers, I don't really think anybody could argue that they had a really good draft. I think Lynch did an excellent job when he came in of making some really shrewd moves and picking up draft picks and who he drafted and when. The thing about draft picks, though, is that none of them are proven. How many first or second round picks have we seen that have ended up being complete busts? We still don't know the health of Reuben Foster's shoulder. We know that C.J. Beathard isn't going to make an immediate impact. So really the only person they have right out of the draft that's going to make a difference is Solomon Thomas. If we look at compensatory picks, if we look at trades for picks and the players that the Patriots picked up, Mike Gillisley, Brandon Cooks, Coney Ely, Dwayne Allen, filling the need at tight end. I think you see a team that has a lot of people who are going to make a difference immediately that they use draft picks to get while they develop the guys that they actually drafted. I would say they had the better draft.
Okay. All right, Daniel, thank you for that. Chris, come on, closing arguments, brother. Let's see it.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right, so you said that they didn't have anything to address on defense, but statistically wise, that's their biggest need, and they weren't top 10 in that at all. As far as the Niners not drafting anybody impactful, Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster, arguably the best in their position. Myles Garrett's a strong number one. They also picked up Akella Witherspoon, who's 6'3" and easily their number one corner now, so obviously he's going to be an impact player. Also picked up Trent Taylor, wide receiver from Louisiana Tech. He's a slot guy. As far as impact, here's some numbers for you. He was the FBS leader in yards, 1803. Next behind him was Zay Jones, who had 1746. Trent Taylor also had more touchdowns than Jones did, grabbing 12 of them. And Zay Jones only had 8. And Zay Jones also took 20 more receptions to do so. Also, along with adding those next year picks, as far as the Niners do need more than just what they got. And so adding those extra picks next year definitely helps enhance the team. And having Beathard to develop, along with drafting his tight end Kittle, who's also a run blocker and pass blocker. It's easily shown that, the Niners, they did get a lot of impactful players because they did struggle a lot this last season. And so all these players will be able to be plugged right in.
C.J. Beathard's booty. Man, cost me money last year. A lot of money.
All right, fellas. Well, thank you for being on the Octagon and taking the time. I'm going to go ahead and see y'all later. I appreciate the debate.
Thanks, Austin.
Peace.
All right.